Now in the bowl I have 5 eggs and 140 grams of caster sugar. Now it's always best to whisk them up, the eggs, when they're at room temperature rather than refrigerated, because there's a lot more air created when they are at room temperature. So what you need to do is just mix them up for about 6 minutes until it's into a smooth consistency. Okay, once that is to that creamy consistency, as I showed you in the Swiss roll recipe, it's very similar. It's a very luxury Swiss roll. And what I'm going to do now to this, I have 75 grams of plain flour. And what I'm going to do to this, what I use for the chocolate flavour is the cocoa powder. This is Green and Black's organic cocoa powder. I'll add about, say, about 2 tablespoons of cocoa to the flour. Now just mix that together. Now, to get the best texture with this is actually sieve the dry mixture over the rest of the mixture. Just literally sieve it in. So there could be a few lumps, just press the lumps through until it's all in there. Now, as we did before, just with the Swiss roll, mix all that in with your fingertips. Just like before, just gently work all the dry ingredients in there. Okay, now once you have, it takes a bit of a while to mix in, but once you've got it there, you can see obviously it's changed colour, it's nice and smooth, and it's a nice, lovely chocolate colour sponge mix. Let's wash my hands. Now this is where the luxury begins. Now we're going to add just about 25 grams of unsalted butter, which I have just melted here just a little to make sure. So I just melted this in the microwave. And what you do with this is just literally sort of stir that in, sort of be folded in, just blend that in. Make sure it's all out of there. And just fold that in like you did with the flour, just gently mix that butter in as well. It's where things start getting a little bit richer. Mix that in just a little. That's all it takes, just carefully does it. And also just a couple of tablespoons of hot water. So we do just add there 1 tablespoon. And so just gently mix that in. Just gives it a little bit more moisture. It's just like the Swiss roll, but a lot more luxury and a lot more ingredients going in. Just gently fold that in as well. I'm just going to transfer that now to a tin. Okay, now continue use just is greased again, greased and lined, and then greased once over again. And then this should just scoop this onto a tray, pour it in the tray. Oh, it'll go nice and even. It's a little bit runnier because you had added the water in, and just pour it out. Just scoop it out with your hands and just even as you can. There you go. Don't have to spread it because it is really already spread itself. Just literally just tease it to the corners. Of course you know that already. Just tease it in there. And it won't hurt to stand while you just leave it rest a little while. If your oven is still warming up, it doesn't matter. And you should bake this around 180 degrees C in the oven for about, it takes 15 to about 18 minutes. Mine would normally take about 15. That's all it takes. Okay, now while that is baking, we can get on to make the filling. And what I'm going to do now is take a bowl and melt about 150 grams of dark chocolate. Now I'm using the green and blacks. It's a very rich 70% cocoa chocolate. Just bring that up into the bowl, and you can melt it into a heat-proof bowl in a saucepan of boiling water if you wish. As I'm doing now, just gonna turn that on now. You could do it the easy, quick way, and melt it into the microwave in a bowl instead. It'll take a few minutes to melt. Just give it a stir each now and again. See it's melting there. Just be careful not to burn yourself with the steam. Just turn that down just a little. You see how rich that chocolate is now. Just a little bit more. Let's give it another couple of minutes. Once that's fully melted, just take that off the heat. And we can go back to the sponge. Now I think it's just about ready. It should just be cooked. Just check that. There's this one should be just soft to the touch. And now, the good thing about this, the Yule Log, what I normally do is just put this onto a clean tea towel. And this is where the rolling begins now. Take out, just literally place it onto the tea towel, or while it's hot, let's turn the oven down and off. Now a lot of people are asking me about this part that I've never shown before, just getting all the greaseproof paper off whilst it's hot. Can be tricky sometimes. If it does stick, it doesn't matter with this too much because you are making a log, and logs in real life are not really extremely smooth. So just leave it, tease up the corners and the edges. But it's only very basic. There we go. And as we did before, while that is steaming hot, grab the tea towel again, just roll it up just very loosely, like so. Okay, now just going to put that into the fridge, and can now go back to make the filling. Just take this away. Okay. Bit of room. Back to the filling now. That's the melted chocolate. Just take that out of the bowl that we did earlier. Now I'm going to add some icing sugar to that. About 120 grams of icing sugar. And again, the best thing to do is sieve that in. Actually, it's probably better to transfer that to a bigger bowl. So there'll be a lot of mess else. Just transfer that into the blue bowl. So I'll sieve in the icing sugar. Stir it in just a little bit each time. This is what you want here is a sort of a thick, not too thick, but spreadable enough filling. Just sieve all that into there. Rid of the lumps once again. To see now what you need to add is just for a little extra flavour. Gives it a sort of a chocolate vanilla flavouring. It's about a teaspoon of vanilla essence to that, and also some milk. Just use here some fresh milk. About a couple of tablespoons of cold milk, just roughly like so, and then you just mix all that in. Takes a good bit of mixing in. Come into a sort of a smooth paste. When you find it's too thick, you'll see it sort of come together like that, which to me that is quite thick. You can literally just add a lot, just a few drops more water, milk, sorry. Just mix that all together till it's a bit of mixing and beating in. It's a bit of a beating in this chocolate. So once that's mixed in, just leave that cool for about sort of roughly half an hour, and that you'll find will sort of thicken up just a little bit more. Take time to give it an extra mix. Now it's in this sort of like a fudgy paste. Now we'll just thicken just a little more once it cools. Okay, now back to the sponge. I'll just clean up here a bit. You can unroll the sponge, and the filling should be cool enough now as well. So roll the same as you did before. Like a very smooth paste. You don't leave it go cold too much, or else you will not be able to spread it at all. Now it's into a nice spreadable sauce, which is absolutely delicious now. Just scoop that off the bowl. Just get a knife and just spread that. See, it's very sort of thick filling a Yule log has. Just what you want. Spread that over. Doesn't matter if it oozes out the side, because once you roll it up again, the icing on top will cover all the cracks and holes anyway. There you are. And once again, you roll that back up. It doesn't matter if that roll is going to break, which it probably will, because it is a log. Just roll it up there. The logs are not perfectly smooth anyway, so just gently roll that up. So, just like we did before, there is, you can see the filling just oozing out there. And again, just let that, just leave it for a while, let it go completely cold. I have here, this is double cream. What you need for this, you just need to heat this up now, actually boil it. Now it's actually 200 mils of double cream in there. Just going to heat that up gently, just gently bring it to the boil. Once you've brought the cream to a boil, be careful not to burn it. Take off the heat. Okay, let's put this over here. And what you do now is you add some more chocolate now. This is another 150 grams of chocolate. You just break that in to the cream. And just melt that in and just stir it until it's fully melted. And that will just melt away there very slowly. And once that's fully melted in, you can see it's nice sort of chocolate sauce texture. You want to add in 100 grams of icing sugar, sifted like you did before with the filling. Just add it into there. And just stir that in very gently. Takes just a little while to stir in. Like so. Once that's fully stirred in, just leave that cool just for a while. before spreading it over the Swiss roll. And just chill it probably about a half an hour until it will thicken once again, the same as what happened to the filling. So just put that into the fridge for a while. We can go back to the sponge. Now this is where we make the log look a bit more realistic. Now I'm going to cut here just about a quarter of the way up, and a sort of a diagonal cut with a serrated knife, just sort away like so. And then put this piece here that I've just cut and attach it to the side, just like this. So we've got a piece, like a sort of a branch sticking out. Just push it in there as tight as you can. This is where it starts to take shape. You can squeeze that together. Just squeeze it, press it together like so. And you can see there now, it's like a real piece of log. And that'll be now ready to be decorated with the chocolate icing. Okay, now, so once the filling is cold in the fridge, I did say for about half an hour. It's actually about an hour until it reaches this really sort of thick consistency. Now just what you do now, spread this. Just put a big dollop there on top. This is where you just have to carefully just spread over the cake, all over the top, like so. Just give it a good coating all the way around. Gives a very, very rich cake. So smooth it over. Just do the other side all the way around. Just paste it on like so. It's good with this because you don't have to be too fussy, just as long as it's coated. And also the ends as well. Just literally paste it on like so. Okay, so what you'll do afterwards is make the lines and like the log effect. Just push a bit more on top as well. Get into the crack of the log there. Smooth it off just a little bit. It's all fully coated now. Just do the ends of the branches. Okay, so you've got this sort of rough, sort of spiky, barky sort of finish. That's basically what you're looking for at this stage. Just give you sort of an angle. There is the log shape. Now what you need to do now is just get a fork, and this is where you make some lines all the way through like this. Just gives it even more of a log effect. Do the tops first. Around there. Do the top first and just streak. Just with the edge of the fork like this. You'll see now it's taking shape. Once you've done the top and the sides, you come to these, come to the end of the log, where it gets a little bit more sort of trickier. If I could show you, just you want to do the rings of the log like you would, you know, the age rings. Just sort of, you can sort of carve it into a round sort of swirl at the end, just like that. You can see there now. And the same with the other two ends. See, they look quite smooth at the moment, but you want to make that sort of a circle. Just like that. See if you can sort of in the action there and just swirl that around into a sort of a effect like that. The same with this end here. So with the bottom, it can be quite tricky, but just go around. Just give the sort of middle a bit of a swirl. Now you can see now it's really taking shape. Log effect. Now what you can do also, clean off the fork there a little, is to make just a couple of little knots or sort of circles on the side there. So just clean off this fork once again. So give it a good wash actually before I have a clean fork. And then do a couple of rings with your fork. Just rest it onto the icing and just do a sort of a ring like that as one. Maybe do another one on the other edge here, say. Just go around in a circular action and just drag the fork around into a ring, just like that. You have these two sort of rings there, like that. Now just for the final finishing touches, for the holly, you could, if you wish, you can get any decorations to go on the top. Or what I would do is actually make a little bit of icing and some green food dye, or you can just mix blue and yellow together, and then paint into a piping cat. And just depends how creative you are, really. I'm going to outline a couple of leaves of holly, and maybe you can see that there. Just one leaf on this side. Like so. Do the outline first of one of them. Just give that a turn that around now. Do the same with this one. Just gives it a nice Christmassy touch. So you have two outlines of holly, and then you just fill in then with the green, the rest of the green icing. Just fill in what you've done there. Depends how creative you are. You can buy these ready-made plastic decorations from any shop. If you're creative like me, could do it this way here. Just fill all that in. It's not an exact holly shape, leaf shape, but you get the idea. Depends how artistic you are as well. Just do it into there like so. It will eventually settle in. There you are. Let's see your two holly leaves. Just need to make the berries now. I've done the same again for the berries, but obviously the red food dye. You just mix that up again, just with a little bit of milk or water. And for the berries, that's even more easier. Just do a couple of round balls there. Just one. Do another one. Just there would do. That's the hollies and the berry. To finish off that, get some more icing sugar and put into a sieve and just shake over. This will give it the, just very lightly to give the snow effect. You can do it into thick patches in some areas if you wish. This really does give it that snowy, Christmassy look. Just brings it to life. And that is it. That is your Christmas log. And once again, you just chill that for about an hour before you serve. And it'll just come that extra firmer then while you cut each slice up.